Okay, so the time is noon Eastern time, so let's get started. Thank you so much for joining. This is Exploratory Online Seminar number 97. Today, I like to introduce Exploratory version 8, which we released I think last weekend, middle of the weekend, we just released it so that we'll be ready for upcoming Monday. This Exploratory version 8 is another milestone for us. I think we did a lot of like kind of underground engineering work to not just for the version 8, but something that can be used for like preceding, following version, like version 9 or version 10, so that we can build something on top of that, some type of like a platform that we built into this version 8. So we're really excited about that. So we wanted to share with you, what are the new features, what are the improvements we made with version 8. Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Kan Nishida. I'm a CEO at Exploratory. We started Exploratory in the 2016 spring to democratize data science. Mainly, we do the two things. One is building this Exploratory, the tool for doing the data science. And another thing is the training and the seminar, so that through those venue, we like to share our knowledge and skills so that more people can actually use data science, various methods to understand their data better and then make better decisions. Our vision is data-informed decision-making is essential for making the world better. Therefore, we like to contribute by democratizing data science so that more people can use various data science methods. Okay. And when we say data science, we usually think of it as kind of as this workflow sort of diagram. Usually, like you start with business questions, and then you want to access the data so that you can actually, maybe answer the questions or like, confirm or maybe like evaluate your questions or hypothesis or whatever. But usually, like when you get the data, it needs to be cleaned up or transformed so that you can visualize or analyze with various methods, right? So data access, data wrangling, visualization, analytics, this actually has to happen in a random manner, not random, but in various manners, going back and forth until you find useful insights. Once you find a useful insights, most of the time, like you work with other people. So therefore, like you need to communicate what you have found, what you see in the data with other folks. So the communication is also the very important part of the whole data science workflow. So Exploratory provides a Exploratory provides a more than a simple UI to do these 5 things. Okay, so like data access, data wrangling, visualization, analytics, and communication, all of these things in one package or through one simple UI. Okay, so enough about the Exploratory. Let's get into today's seminar. Exploratory Online Seminar number 97, Exploratory version 8. We have done a lot of things in version 8 as we do with other releases in the past. And in this one, like I said, this is actually the milestone release for us. There are tons of like new features and enhancements and bug fixes as well. But there are a couple of things is very important. So like I like to start off with those and then start introducing other enhancements or new features going along with those 5 pillars of Exploratory, which is the data source, data access, data wrangling, chart, analytics, and communication. Okay, so the first off, the collaboration. Collaboration is something that we really care because we actually use Exploratory internally. And when we use the collaboration is actually really essential for us to be productive. So let me just introduce, kind of go through like what the collaboration with Exploratory quickly. So the collaboration really comes in sort of like a fruit comes in the picture with the not just the Exploratory desktop, but also Exploratory server as well. So you do all the work in the Exploratory desktop. Let's say like you create a report, create a charts, and so on. And then you want to share that with other folks who haven't, who also been using Exploratory desktop. right? So then sometimes you just want to share that like a report, output, dashboard, or notes, and so on with other folks who are not necessarily be using Exploratory desktop, just kind of sort of like a viewer, that you can do that too. But it's a real collaboration is something that as an author, as a creator of charts and reports and data, and then you want to actually work with other people to improve it or evaluate or help each other. Okay, so once you create, let's say, data or reports and all that stuff in Exploratory, you do that work in the project. So what you want to do is actually like you want to publish the project to the server. The Exploratory server can be the shared hosted, hosted server or like private hosted server or on-prem that you can install on your server. Either option, and regardless of that option, is you can publish your project to the server. Once you publish it, and then your team will be notified that the project was published. Okay. Then other folks get the email notifications, and then they can click the button and then download that project. Most of the cases, they open the Exploratory desktop and they click the button to import that project. And then once you import the project, obviously, like you can maybe enhance, you can improve, you can fix things, and so on. And once you're ready, you can republish that project to the server. At that point, the new project will be stored at the server, and then the server actually do the version control of those projects. And then, but like at this point though, like the other members in the same team will be notified as well. So then they can import that whatever the pieces, that sort of like differences between the one they have and then the one at the basically the latest project at the server will be imported. So only the partial, but that's actually the part that you need to update your sort of like local stored project to be up to date. Okay, so that's a kind of very sort of like overview of how that collaboration works. And in this Exploratory version 8, what we did is a real-time notification. That's the piece we added. So what it is basically like you open a project and then you're doing some work. And the thing about this whole collaboration is that like if somebody else is working on the same project and making updates, and then whoever publish that project will override at the, will be registered as the sort of like, source of truth or like the latest project. So that means if you import the latest project at that point, then somebody else's project might be imported and override your project, right? So you want to be careful like who is actually working at the same project, because then like whoever is working, the one of them might get overridden by the other folks. So typically like what our users been working on is that they communicate, I don't know, like Slack or email, whatever, or the phone call. And hey, I'm working on this project. Can you wait for a little bit? And then like, this person publish the project to the server, and then the other person can import and then start working on it, right? But sometimes like that communication is not, doesn't work the way that it's supposed to. So in Exploratory, now with version 8, you will see this like a green sort of like circle, green signal left-hand side top. That means somebody else is working on that project. Let me just quickly do that demo right now. For example, this is an Exploratory, and then this page is a project list, right? So there is this V8 introduction project. That's the project that I've been working on for, doing a demo like today. And then it turned out other people is also doing some work on this V8 introduction project. If I move the mouse there, there are 2 people in my team working on this project. And that doesn't mean like I can't open it, right? But that I need to be aware that they might be doing some work. So I better communicate with them. Hey, can I just go ahead updating the project or not? So if I click on it, and obviously I get this confirmation dialog, hey, these people are working on this project. And if I don't care, like I just want to, generate some output, I just want to see like what's going on in the project, I'm going to click OK. And then I open the project, right? But this signal is a real time. So the moment somebody else is working on that project, I start working on the project, and this will show up. And then that person, these folks If maybe like they stop working on it, that means they close the project, and this will reflect that like a real time. So even though like when you open the project, nobody's working on it, that means you don't see this signal. But then maybe like 5 minutes later, 30 minutes later, you might see this signal shows up. Okay. So that's the real-time collaboration notification piece of the work that we did in this version 8. Okay, so next up is the undo restore version control. So for a long time, people actually complain, hey, like, I started using exploratory, but where's the redo, where's the undo? And there was actually no such thing before, right? So finally we worked on it. The tricky part of the exploratory is that like you can create a bunch of charts, but not just a chart. You can also make changes on the data wrangling process, right? So that you can add data wrangling step, delete, update, or you can import the new data, and then like you can create a dashboard or a node. So you do a lot of different type of tasks. So it's kind of hard to manage how you do like a redo, undo, because obviously you don't want to do like sort of like undo, like a Control Z or Command G, and then like somehow like you meant to just go back to the previous step of the chart, but you ended up like a sort of like a canceling of creating dashboard or something, because that happened to be the thought, like previous thought, task or something like that. So how you manage that, like how to do this in the right format. So that's what we have been working on. As you might have known, like when you install the first time, it asks you the two things. Hey, your version, can we install R? Can we install Git? Well, the Git is a version control system, sort of like underneath of the exploratory, and it's been there for a long, long time. So that means that piece was there, but somehow there was not exposed in a way that exploratory users can take advantage of it by sort of like a restore or, like sort of like undo, redo kind of stuff. Okay, so what that means is that with this version, we added this menu called history. And when you click on it, and you get the history dialog, and inside you can see what are the updates that have been made. Okay, so maybe you import a new data, you updated the chart, you created a node, update the node, deleted the dashboard, all different kind of tasks you do, they are all captured in this dialog. And that means you can see what you did. Not just you can see what you did, but also you can select and going back to where you are. So what that means, okay, let me just quickly introduce what it is. Here you see on the left-hand side, here is a history. When you open it, these are the things I have been working on, I don't know, last 24 hours or so, or like maybe like the last couple of days, right? And then now, let's say I was so stupid that, or maybe like, I just woke up and somehow mistakenly, I just dropped some data frame. I gotta be careful. Like I don't wanna, I might use some of the data frame, but nevertheless, I'm gonna just take a risk. So I'm gonna somehow like I click on this delete button, and then this will delete global sales MySQL. And even though it's confirming with me, but somehow like it's kind of like I got used to just keep clicking, right? So like I just click the delete button, and then realize, oops, I didn't want to delete this data frame, but it's gone. What am I going to do? And not just a data frame, maybe like a dashboard, maybe something else, or maybe like you actually did something then that broke the data frame or dashboard or whatever, something that you want to go back. That's really the undo. Right. So with this history, though, like what you want to do is like go open the history dialog, and then you will see that whatever the operation you did, and then for example, this delete data frame is the last operation I did, right? So like I want to actually go back to the previous state of this project. That means the second from the top, this one is the one like the last action, operation I did before deleting that data frame called global sales MySQL. So I want to go back to this stage. I can choose like any stage in the past as well, but I think this is good. So, and then like I'm going to click on this restore this version button, and I hope that data frame will show up so that I don't have to lose all the work I have done. And here it is. I have global sales MySQL data frame left hand side. I can click on it. And then luckily, like I didn't really do any job, but it doesn't matter. But the data frame shows up again. Okay, so that's the sort of like doing an undo, but not just undo. It's really the version control way, so like you can go back to, even like for example, like if I shut down the app, right, and then like a week later I started the app, and then I want to actually go back to maybe like 7 days ago or like 14 days ago, whatever the operation I did in the past, I can always go back there. So this version control is really powerful. And this actually makes more useful, especially like when you do the collaboration. Sometimes you import a project and then like you make some changes and you realize, or somebody else was also making the project and updates, and then you want to actually import, so you want to go back to where you are, or maybe like you broke the project somehow that you share with other people. And then, all those cases, you can always choose go back to where you are. Okay, so that's version control and restore, or, more common word is a kind of like undo, redo. Okay, so those are the two big things, and then other big things as well, but those are like something that I like to introduce along these lines. So data import, data wrangling, chart, analytics, dashboard. Okay, so data import. So this is actually one of the biggest things we did in this version 8, which is SQL data import as background job. So what does this mean? So let me just show you quickly. So let's see, like I want to create a new data frame and then get the data from some database in somewhere. So I'm going to select the database, and then let's say maybe MySQL, maybe it can be Google BigQuery or Redshift database or whatever that could be. So I open the SQL dialog, right? And then the connection MySQL, and then under this schema, and I click on table. Let's say maybe like a flight. What is this? Right. Oh, I think this is good. So I'm going to just do run the simple query here. So like I'm going to run against this table. And obviously, like I have the 22 columns. So right now the preview is 100 rows. But I want to actually download this data. And I already know that this one was like, I think like 500,000 rows or something like that. So it's going to take some time, right? And then when I click on this save button, I have to sit and wait for like, I don't know, like 1 minute or 30 seconds, can be 5 minutes, right? That means until version 7, you couldn't do any other task in Exploratory. You had to wait. Or you might usually like go somewhere else and have a coffee, or you do another, open another application, work stuff. And that's actually kind of distractive because you want to focusing on like creating reports and generating a dashboard and chart and all that stuff, right? So with this release version 8, now you click on save button, and then what is this? Write MySQL, and click on it, and then immediately going back to the background process. That means, oh, that was so quick, and I got this one, and then already, oh, this is not like 500,000. It's only like 51,000 rows. No. Where's that? Oh, here it goes. This flight MySQL. And then that data was actually, yes. Oh, yeah, I was right. I was like 500,000 rows. So that was too quick, but technically what I wanted to tell you is that while it was importing the data or downloading the data from the database, you can continue your work on like opening another data frame. You can create another chart. You can add different data wrangling steps on different data frame and so on. So for example, let's say if I click on this, this like re-import, let's say like something happened, like something update happened on the database, I can click on this re-import. Then that point, I don't have to wait and sit and then, just looking at like a sort of loading icon. I can go to open a different data frame. I can create a new chart or something like that. Let's do it. So if I click on re-import, immediately go to the background process, and I can open another data frame. And then once it's done, I get this notification. Hey, it's data has been imported. So like I can click OK. And then like I can go back and then see, okay, that here it is. It shows the last imported time. So, okay, so now data has been updated. So this background process or separate process, if you will, is really powerful. We started with this SQL data source because those are the one that notoriously takes a lot of time because just loading that data from the database depends on your network situation. Like if you have a good internet connection, like it might not be the problem, but if you live in some rural area, it might be the problem. So I think this is actually a really strong, powerful capability, but also we're going to start extending this to other data source types, such as, maybe like a Google Drive, not maybe, actually we're planning on it, is a Google Drive, Amazon S3, Azure data storage, or even like typical, SQL, Excel data import as well. So this is just kind of getting started. We want to make sure like you don't have to sit and then like for the loading icon, we're gonna apply this to like many other areas. So separating the process was a big deal for us because we had to create this sort of like a platform for like a process management system behind the scene, but we have done that. So you will start seeing this kind of approach will be applied to various other areas as well. Okay, so that's very exciting. Next up is data wrangling. Big thing for the data wrangling for not just each of the improvements, but a step readability improvement. So what it is basically like when you have the step on the right-hand side, and when you move the cursor there, and then like you see like what that is much better than before. So what that means, for example, let's see, maybe here, the global sales data frame. And let's say if I'm like, hey, what did I do in this filter step? Before, until version 7, it was showing that our function or command. So you had to sort of decrypt what the function actually really doing, what are those like arguments in a bracket. But now we parse all the information and generate more like a human readable information here. And this again becomes very important, especially when in a collaboration environment. Some other folks created different data wrangling steps. And then like immediately, like you open a data frame, you want to understand it instead of like a decrypting, right? So obviously, like you can always open each this token to see what it is. But sometimes like you have like 12 steps or something like that. You don't want to open every single UI, right? So now you can actually move the mouse and then like see like what it's doing, sort of like a highlight or a summary, if you will, in a much easier way. And especially another thing is, I think here, not this one, maybe here. Okay, even like a summarize. I think this is kind of my personal favorite because like now I can see what is a group by and how you summarize, in this case, the value of the sales sum. So, okay, so like literally like I can see how this data being created by this step without opening the summarize dialog. Okay, so this is the readability improvements. But other than that, we also made other improvements as well. For example, join dialog. This is one of the areas that we get sometimes customers inquiry questions. Hey, like we did a join and somehow like used to be like hundreds, let's say 10,000 rows of records. Now like I have like 10 million records. Like what's going on? Well, it turned out they have the NA in a join key column. So like when you have like you need to specify the columns to match between the two data frames to join those two data together, right? If you have an A in those columns, then like this join operation try to match the NA and NA. Well, the thing is though, like NA is not really unique. Like when you have like 10 rows of NA and another data frame has 10 rows of NA, what is going to happen is it will think like, oh, there are 10 NA, 10 NA, so let's try to match them in every single combination. That means the 10 multiplied 10 ended up like 100 rows. So that's a part of one of the reasons we see a lot of many users actually have problem with this join. So we introduce this thing called match NA. and default is off. So that means if there is an NA in the matching column, and we remove those first, and then therefore you don't have to worry about like it happen to be like NA rows to be matched with the NA row. Because the NA is like you don't have the value. So like what's the point of actually really matching and then joining those rows, right? So that's off. But sometimes the NA means a very special means one thing, then you might want to match that too. So you can actually check it to match with the NA rows as well. Another thing is create categories. That's actually the powerful one of the data wrangling step, which is that you can actually create groups for the numerical variable, right? So for example, like let's say you have the monthly income column and then various numbers, but you might want to create 10 groups. Like a first is like from 1,000 to 2,000, 2,000 to 3,000, or so on. There are various methods to create those groups. But one of the things is that because you cut those numbers into, let's say 5 or 10 groups, so each group will have this label of like, let's say like 1,000.00 to 3,134.80 or something like that. So there are always the decimal digits. But sometimes you don't want to see the decimal digits as the group name. So you can, we introduced this thing called decimal parameter. So that means in this case, as you can see on the preview side, on the right-hand side bottom, you see the 2 decimal digits, that's the default, but you can actually set it to 0 so that you won't see the decimal. Along with this change though, we changed the label text. Before, we used to have a square bracket and the curly bracket. Square bracket means not just greater than, but also equal to, and a curly bracket means just a greater than or less than. Okay, so now we removed those to be more consistent with the chart. So this is the same operation you can actually do in a chart. So if your whole goal is just create a chart, you just want to create multiple groups based on the numerical values, then you don't have to do this data wrangling step. You just go to the chart, you just assign the numerical column to X axis or whatever, and then you get this done. But sometimes you want to create the data, maybe because you want to do some as a data wrangling operation, want to do some analysis or something like that, then you want to use this data step, create categories step. And in that case, basically this label now more aligned with what you see with the charts. Okay. So that's actually kind of a breaking change. If you had used this in a previous release, and then you are expecting those square bracket and curly bracket, because sometimes you do a replacing value with something else or then it will break. So you want to be you want to be noted by this change. Okay, so other change we did is fill NA width. And for the date column or POSIX CT data type column, sometimes there's NA in a date column or date and time column, and there's NA. And then there are many ways to replace the NA width, right? So we added the today and a specific day. You could do this before, but you had to know how to call a particular function. For the today case, you got to use a today bracket start bracket close specific day that you want to use a specific format or something like that. So people actually don't know, especially you started using Exploratory recently. So we not just adding this entry point, but when you select it, you have the default value. So it makes it easy to change it to suit meet your requirements. Okay. And other things we did as well, but I'm not going to go into the detail. You can check this in the release note. And also, if you have any questions, please let me know. Reach out to me. I'll let you know my contact information at the end. Okay, so let's go to the next one, the chart. This is another one of the biggest thing we've done for the chart since probably the beginning of the Exploratory, which is finally, as a version 8, we redesigned this chart property. This is actually one of the areas notoriously bad user experience in Exploratory. You used to have there's no tab or anything like that. So all the property menu was in a single like, I don't know, the dialogue, no organization. So I mean, there's organizations that can call sections, but that's about it. So it was hard to find the thing you want to do or the properties you are looking for. But now that we reorganize it, redesign it to make it much easier. This is actually probably the best, my most favorite for myself, because I create a chart all the time. And then sometimes like I want to set like y-axis title, I want to set number format, I want to show some values or something like that. And then now compared to before, like, like sometimes like too complicated, too hard to find it. I didn't even do it, but now I can just finish in, within a second. So this will provide a huge productivity boost if you are a chart builder or chart creator. Okay, so let me just go through like how that will look quickly. So if I open like this, like an Airbnb New York City data frame, and I have the chart here, and then like let's say like I wanna, like I wanna change this y-axis title, and I can just click on like a property, and what I wanna do is I'm told, oh, by the way, now you can move this property. So that makes it much easier to make the change, because you make the change, you want to see how that is reflected in the chart, right? So, but anyway, you can move. And then what I want to do, like go to the axis, x-axis, y-axis. If you have like another variable assigned and you have the y2 axis, you can do that as well. Here, like I can select like, hey, you know what? I don't want to show the title. Number of rows is kind of stupid. Or I want to show the title, but this is like, like number of, what do you call it? Tenants or something. Not tenants, what do you call it? Property. Like, let's say like number of properties, and then like I can see, okay, this y-axis is being updated. Okay, that's good. And then like another thing is like a number format on the y-axis, and I can change that. Go to the this axis label section, and then like this is a number, so like that's actually okay. But if I want to change to percentage or currency, I can change that as well. Another thing is right now it says 15K. This is actually perfect for like English environment, but sometimes some culture like don't understand this what K, especially in Japan, for example. So in that case, you can actually not use that. And then let's see, like I click on the apply button, and without the K, so 15,000 means 15000. So on. And then so you can actually do a number format is much easier than before. And another thing is a legend. In this case, the right-hand side is perfect. If I don't want to show the legend, if I move the legend, and you can go find that under the legend as well. Okay. Another thing is now, as you notice, the numbers are showing up here. So this is actually good. But for example, if I want to change it, I don't want to see the numbers. I can just uncheck the show values, no numbers. And if I want to show it, let's say like I want to change the positions, I want to change the font size, I can do that as well. Okay. Another thing though is that, let's say here, as you see, the condition. So there are a couple of options, like one is a range. That means right now I'm setting upper range. That means whatever the one has a greater than 500 will show up. So let's say, for example, if I change this to 100 or something and apply, and then you see a lot more, but it's actually kind of small because the area is so small. So there's that. You don't have to, like you can actually uncheck this font size auto adjustment, click on it, and it will see kind of bigger font numbers. But that's, it really, it's up to you. I like this font size auto adjustment because if it's then, the font, those texts are not going to overlap each other, especially with kind of small region. But you know what? Maybe because this upper range is 100, maybe like I don't really need to see those sort of like small areas. So like, for example, if I change that to upper range and 1000, I can see only sort of like a bigger numbers here as well. Okay. Another thing is that this is wait a second here. Another thing is here is like a pie chart, and then this too going to properties. Now, like I have like a new property dialog for all the charts actually. And then here in the values, and then I can select which ones I want to show. So for example, default is a ratio, but I can check the value and a group name and click apply, and I can see all of that information in each pie. Okay. And then another thing is that, okay, you know what, like show values greater than, default is 5. So that means all these numbers happen to be greater than 5%. But hey, you know what, like I don't really need to, like I want to see only like greater than 10. And I can click to see greater than, excuse me, all of these are actually 10. So like that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to do 20 and then click apply. And I see only 2 slices for those values as well. You can now like apply different format decimal points for the ratio and the values as well. And also you can change the font size here as well. So like if you click on that and then you get, oh, oops, I think this is default size here, and then click on that. I think this is too big. So I'm going to just make it a little bit smaller, change that as well. This is actually version 8. We are planning for like the next release, version 8.1, which is basically the patch release. So that in that release, you don't have to come to this general. You can actually set the font size here, and then that will be respected. So think of it like this version 8.0, this font size doesn't work, that's actually the bug. Okay, so bear with us. Okay, so that's that. And another thing, one more thing I wanted to show you, this show values is that, for example, something like this is actually the CO2 emissions. So the red color is China and the blue color is US. And you know, like I want to show like how much of the CO2 emissions. So I want to show the value. And again, I go to here, property. If I want to change anything with the axis, like axis title, I can go to here as well. That's basically the same thing. This time on the legend, I want to change that to the top position. I can change that as well. And then with the legend, okay, here. And then like now like show values, go to the values. And then I want to show the values. And at this point, if I go here, click on it, and then all the dots, all the data points will have the value. That's too much. What I want to do is I want to see the value at the beginning, and also I want to see the value at the end. In that case, you can actually use this condition, same thing, but in this case, I'm going to use a different type of condition called selected values. And then here, now we support these 4. In future, we might start adding more. But here, that means I can select the first and the last and click apply. Then I have the only, for each group though, like for US and China separately, and I'm now like showing first value and the last value. Okay, and I want to actually see the max value, for example, US, like when was the peak? Okay, so in that case, I can check on the max value and click apply. And then here, I don't know, here is 2007. So US actually peaked on and at the 2007. After that, seems like a going downward trend. And at the same time, China actually surpassed Americas, and then now is 9,899. I think this is the exajoule or something. Okay, so that's actually very useful. Again, so this chart property being redesigned, so provides you like much more easier experience to use it or set, configure. And also we, along with that, like we improve or like we added more functionality, especially like around the show values or number format and other area as well. Okay, so that's the chart property. Other thing we did is we did a couple other things around the highlight, and also supported a number format for like, all the chart type. We are missing the number formatting for histogram, density, box plot, violin plot, and map. And now like all the charts have the same number formatting experience. Okay. Next up is analytics. Analytics is here. we added a corresponding analysis. When you have categorical columns, and then like let's say you have two of categorical column or something. But in this case, though, in this screenshot, I'm using the employee data, HR employee data. Okay, and then like each employee belongs to like different job role, and then also has information about the business travel status. So like travel frequently, travel rarely, or no travel at all. So again, those are category. And then another one, the attrition, meaning that this employee left the company or still with the company. So like it's yes or no. So we're talking about three different categories, right? Categorical variables. And I like to see the relationship among those. What that means is that, for example, with this chart we are looking at in front of us right now, we can see is that at the very kind of center, it says a travel rarely in a kind of orange box. So that means here, like any job role cross to orange, that means relatively compared to others, these job role employee tend to travel rarely, not often. Who travel frequently? All right, here, travel frequently, there's a sales representative, kind of like a cliche. Okay. And then also another thing is, okay, so the no means attrition is no. So no, that employee didn't leave. So looks like travel rarely employee and also human resource research scientists compared to other job role or compared to other business travel type, tend to not leave the company. And yes is here. So anything is closer to that, maybe like around here, sales executive, laboratory technician might be higher attrition rate compared to other folks. So it's like, this is actually really powerful, sort of like a analysis on categorical variables. I'm planning to do a more detailed seminar in the future. So please stay tuned. Another thing we added is ANCOVA. And ANCOVA is sort of like kind of like a one variation of like ANOVA family. We have been doing a seminar around ANOVA part 1, part 2. One is one-way ANOVA, the other one is a two-way ANOVA. This is kind of close to two-way ANOVA, except you can bring in another numerical variable that is a covariate, meaning like has some more like a correlated relationship with the target variable that you want to evaluate. Okay, so that's called ANCOVA. So we added that. This again, I'm planning to do another seminar for going deep dive. Another thing we did is a multi-collinearity. This thing has been there for all the statistical prediction models. When you see like a higher VIF or variance inflation factor, then you want to remove those variables. Otherwise, your analysis is not going to be stable. I have done that seminar in the past. If you have if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can actually check. I can show you how to find those seminar at the end. But we actually color code it. So like you see immediately, intuitively, like what are the variables that you got to watch out. You might want to remove things. Okay. So that's it for the analytics. And the next up is the dashboard. If you're dashboard users, you have those like a number columns. That's useful for showing your sort of like a KPI or metrics, right? And then we have the specific sort of like a number rows. But the problem of that, like that row, the height of the row cannot be shrink at the minimum height. So this is basically this kind of a fixed height. You can make it bigger, but not smaller. And it turned out like many of our users are actually using this as sort of like an information area or some kind of like some numbers but it's not that important, not necessarily for like a KPI, but just some kind of numbers you want to have, especially like, for example, report generated date or something like that. So you don't obviously have that to be kind of like a main part of the page, right? So we made it possible to shrink that size. Okay, so still the number rows, when you use the number rows, you can't shrink, but you can actually use the chart rows or like regular rows. And then you can bring in those numbers. And then the height is now can be very small. And then like if you generate something like this, and then it's pretty smaller as well. This is a number, but you can bring in a text. You can bring in, data informations and other information as well, or maybe like even a small chart as well. Okay. So, and that's pretty much of this version 8, but there's one more thing. And that is kind of similar to what we did with a SQL data source, right? You remember that now data import can be handled separately as a background process. We did the same thing for publishing. Okay, so what that means. So let's take a look here. Hey, I created this chart, right? And then I'm pretty cool with this. And then I want to publish this, right? And I can publish this chart and then along with the data or something. So I'm going to just check the CSV data, which is behind the scene. And I want to check the EDF that will upload the reproducible steps so that somebody else can download not just this chart data, but also with a data wrangling step so that they can reproduce how the data being created and then generating this chart as well. Nonetheless, I mean, if I click on this publish, and then let's say like I'm gonna publish as an individual, what's gonna happen is now this one goes back into the separate process. Again, I can continue working on doing anything I want in Exploratory. This doesn't stop me, right? But and once it's done, and under the notification dialog, okay, it's done. And then once it's done, though, like I can go to the share setting because right now, like when you publish, it's always a private. So now, like I've come here, like you wanna, oh, you know what, like I want to share with others, and then, or you know what, in fact, like anybody should be able to see it. Then I just enable for public, or I can invite somebody else, particular, right? So the key thing is that okay, now this thing is handled separate process. This is not just the chart, even the data, or even, for example, here is this dashboard. Okay, here. Here's a dashboard as well. And the same thing, if I want to run this dashboard, okay, and then I want to share with others, or like I want to publish, or even better, I want to schedule at the server so that every day I can receive the email with a screenshot of that this dashboard UI, I mean dashboard output with the new data. And then in that case, I want to publish it. And the same thing, if I publish, it will handle in the background process. Okay, so like if I go here, just publish that, and then first it needs to prepare for the publishing content so that like it can do the scheduling and so on. But once that's done, like I can continue working on the here, and I can go to maybe, you know, like adding a different chart and so on. But behind the scene, it is actually uploading that whatever the data it requires to be published at the server side. Once that's done, it gives me the same thing, right? I was like, hey, this job is completed. From here, I can open that web page where the publishing page, or change the share setting, or I can click on this edit to open this dashboard dialog as well. This doesn't stop here. If you are using doing a collaboration with Exploratory, then what you want to do is you want to publish this entire project to the server, right? So this one, like you see, like somebody else's case, Saito is still working on this project, but I have done something already. So like I want to actually publish that. So I can click on this publish button, and then this one shows me what are the things I have actually changed in the, you know, since the last time I published or last time I imported it, and it looks good. And I can click on republish and notify the team member, hey, like I made these changes, click OK. Again, what's going to happen is it prepare for publishing, it's kind of packaging up once that's done. And then now it's a background process. So I don't have to wait for publish to end. I can go to open a different chart. Maybe like I'm going to continue work on that, like creating a bar chart or something like that. And then while the publishing is still getting done as well. Okay, so nothing stops me still working on it. And okay, I'd like to go for it. And once that's done, again, it will tell me the publishing is done. So this publishing is also being now handled as a background separate process. So you remember, like I said, like this project, version 8 is to us is not just a regular milestone, but actually like gives us a lot of huge opportunity for making exploratory more productive for the exploratory users, so that you can continue the work. You sort of like less distraction. You don't have to keep drinking coffee a lot, right? You can actually continue focus on your work, and then some of the stuff that can be done behind the scene can be handled separately. Okay, so that's the version 8 update, and that's it for today. So please download and upgrade today. You can go to exploratory.io, and then there's a menu download, and under that exploratory desktop. We haven't released the public version yet, so this is for like a regular version. So you're using the personal, business, and academic editions, then you can access to this version 8. We are working on the 8.1 patch right now. So with that release, we are going to release public version as well. So if you are public edition users, please wait for a little bit, but should be coming by end of this week. Okay, and also like you go to the download page and you can check on the release notes at the top, and also just click the button and then it will download, and then you can up for the upgrade. All you need to do is just open the download file, and then it will take care of the upgrade. You don't have to do anything other than clicking on the download file. Okay. And then let me just do a little bit of a promotion. We are planning to do the data science booster training in November. This is for like 5 days, and each day is 2 hours. So in total, 10 hours to introduce you various data science methods, not just the analytics part, but also starting with like how basic of the data, or using, how to use that sort of like summary view to understand sort of like descriptive statistics of like understanding your data. And starting from that, and then we do data visualization. Let me just pull up the schedule here. Data visualization, and also gives you the kind of like a basic framework of the data wrangling, because that any data science project most of the time will actually consume for data wrangling. So we want to give you the tool and also sort of like grammar, so that you can tackle on like various problems of the data wrangling. And then like from the third day, and then going into more like analytics things, like correlation, multivariate analysis, clustering, text analysis, time series forecasting. Okay. And you don't need to be pre-qualified or anything like that, as long as, I think it's one thing it's recommended is you should be able to use Excel, but you don't have to be Excel expert or anything like that. If you can do the calculation in Excel, like addition, or you can use a sum function, that's great, and you're ready to join this training. And also, there's I think a 30 minutes length of like how to use exploratory. I think 1 hour maybe. Like I think the recent version is less than 1 hour. But how to use exploratory tutorial. So like you want to actually do that before the training, so that you can get familiar with the exploratory itself. Then during the training, you can focus on that contents, right? So those are the sort of like minimum requirement, if you will. But most important thing is have a desire to learn how to understand data better. Then you'll be good to go. And then right now is the early bird discount period. That means if you apply by before end of this month, you get 10% off. And then good news for the student, if you are currently maybe studying at the school, then you get 50% off. That means if you apply by end of this month, you get 50% discount off and early bird. So that's pretty, I think, a good deal as well. You can go check the detail, go to our website under the Learn. You can find training seminar. And then from there, like you can actually go to our training page to see more details about the training. And also, for the future seminar or the past recorded seminars, you can go to the same page, Learn Training Seminar. And then on that online seminar page, go all the way to the bottom and then check out the past seminar, then you can see the past seminars recording as well. And here, like, during the session, I said like multi-collinearity or like collaboration. Those are the things we have done that seminar in the past. So you can take a look at more detailed information from there as well. If you are Exploratory users, you don't forget to check out how-to tutorials, how-to video, and also chart gallery. That's where you can see all kinds of different kinds of the chart types and chart product features, how-to as well. And also we have the YouTube channel and Khan August. This is where actually like we upload all our seminars, and also we started doing more like a data visualization seminars, not even a seminar, it's kind of like a recording stuff. The recent one like we have done was like a decline in Disney stock price. Import that data from stock data source within Exploratory, and then quickly do sort of a data margin with Disney and S&P 500 or Comcast, and then visualize. So that's a kind of like a new thing we started doing called This Week Data. And the next one I'm planning to do maybe tonight is that the BRICS data. BRICS is the oil export, oil production data. So we're going to keep doing this so that like more folks can know how to find data, how to import data, how to wrangle and visualize the data by themselves. Okay, so with that, I think that's it for today. If you have any questions or feedback, please reach out to me at khan@exploratory.io. And also we have the Twitter accounts or X accounts called Exploratory Data. That's where we share all the useful information about Exploratory. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for joining, and hope you find some values here. And then if you have, again, any feedback or question, please reach out to us. Okay. And thank you so much for joining today. So next week, we're going to have another seminar. And like I said, I'm going to post another sort of like a data analysis or data visualization video as well. So please stay tuned for that. And meanwhile, I hope you're going to be able to enjoy Exploratory version 8. And most importantly, have a great rest of I hope you have a great rest of the week, and hope to see you soon. Bye.